Right now, at this very moment in the season, Arsenal are navigating one of the most complicated stretches any top club can face. Injuries stacking up, international withdrawals raising eyebrows, a teenager being asked to carry weight far beyond his years, and a striker who has been nicknamed the bouncer by his own teammates doing things on a football pitch that are making life easier for every single player around him. The situation at Arsenal heading into their FA Cup quarter-final is one that demands careful analysis because on the surface it looks like a club in crisis. But when you dig into what is actually happening, a very different picture begins to emerge. Let us start with what we know for certain. Arsenal are facing Southampton in the FA Cup quarter-final. Southampton are a championship side. On paper, this should be straightforward. But nothing at Arsenal right now is straightforward, and the reason for that goes far deeper than a few bumps and bruises picked up on international duty. The reality for this club is that they entered the international break with a squad already stretched thin, and they came out the other side in a worse position than when they went in. As many as 10 players pulled out of their respective national teams. The federations themselves deemed these players not fit enough to risk. That is not a small number. That is nearly a full starting lineup worth of players either unavailable or under some kind of medical examination. So what is actually at stake here? The FA Cup quarter-final against Southampton is not just another cup game. It is a chance for Arsenal to reach the semi-finals at Wembley. And they have done so without facing a single top-flight opponent in the entire competition. Portsmouth, Wigan, Mansfield, and now Southampton. Every team a lower league side, every draw a gift. The evidence suggests Arsenal know exactly what this opportunity means. Missing the semi-final at this stage against this quality of opposition would be a significant failure. But the injury situation makes even that calculation complicated. Two of the most important players on the right side of Arsenal's attack are in serious doubt. Noni Madueke picked up a knock while on international duty with England. Eberechi Eze suffered an injury before the break even began. And Bukayo Saka, while he has returned to the Arsenal camp after England decided the risk was too great to play him, is clearly being managed carefully. That is three right-sided attackers with question marks over their availability. And when you consider that Leandro Trossard, a key creative force for the team this season, also withdrew from the Belgian squad with a hip problem, the right flank situation becomes a genuine crisis that Mikel Arteta must solve within days. If you want this level of breakdown on every Arsenal story that matters this season, hit that subscribe button right now, because this channel is where the real analysis lives. Not the headlines, not the clickbait, the actual football thinking. Let us now go through each layer of this story carefully, because every thread connects to the others. Understanding how they link together is what separates real analysis from surface level commentary. Viktor Gyokeres, the bouncer. The situation with Viktor Gyokeres is one of the most interesting human stories at Arsenal right now. Since his arrival at the club, his teammates have called him Vic, a simple, familiar nickname, but behind the scenes, a different name has been spreading through the dressing room, the bouncer. And it was Ben White who confirmed it. In a light-hearted segment on Arsenal's official social channels, White was joined by David Raya and Christian Norgard. The three players were asked to compare animals to their teammates. White was handed a card. The description on that card was a rhinoceros. The traits listed were aggression, slow to start, but when hitting top speed, completely unstoppable. The mentality described was simple: move or be moved. The opposition just bounces off him. Before White could even answer, Norgard jumped in and suggested Gyokeres immediately. White confirmed it, saying, "They do call him the bouncer." All three players then agreed the Swede fits the rhino description perfectly. Now, why does this matter? It matters because nicknames inside a dressing room tell you something real about how a player is perceived by the people who train alongside him every single day. These are not PR statements. These are not managed quotes from a press conference. This is how the group actually sees Viktor Gyokeres. And the fact that his nickname is built entirely around physical power and the inability of defenders to stop him tells you everything about what he brings to this Arsenal side. The evidence is right there in how other players around him perform when he is in the lineup. The situation is that Gyokeres, when he plays, draws the attention of not just one centre-back, but often two at the same time. That is an extraordinary physical presence. And when two defenders are occupied by your number 9, the space that opens up for players like Bukayo Saka Eberechi Eze and Leandro Trossard becomes enormous. The attacking returns of those wide players are directly connected to what Gyokeres is doing in the centre. This is why the praise he receives publicly often does not match the impact he is having privately within the squad. His teammates nicknamed him the bouncer for a reason, because for them he is the anchor. He is the physical reality that makes the entire attacking structure function. And it is now clear that Arsenal's best attacking football happens when Gyokeres is at the tip of that structure, holding, pressing and bouncing opponents off him like they are made of paper. He also returned from the international break, having scored 4 goals for Sweden. His form coming into the Southampton game is therefore not in question. His fitness and his output are both in a good place. The question is whether Arteta will use him against Southampton or save him for a Champions League trip to Lisbon in midweek. The evidence suggests Gyokeres may well be rested for the cup clash with the European game prioritised, Bukayo Saka, and the form problem that cannot be ignored. Now let us address something that is uncomfortable but necessary. Bukayo Saka is not playing like the player who dazzled Europe at the Euros. The evidence for that is not opinion, it is fact. Saka has scored just 6 Premier League goals this season. In the entirety of the previous season, his total was the same, so he has matched a full season's Premier League tally by this point in the current campaign. At first glance, that might sound acceptable, but the reality is that for a player of Saka's quality, scoring at the same rate across a much longer stretch of time represents a plateau, not progress. And the expectations on him are higher than plateau level. The situation is that Saka was one of the most exciting and decisive attackers in European football heading into this season. He memorably scored a crucial penalty for England at the Euros, firing them level in a high-pressure shootout. That version of Saka was operating at the absolute peak of his powers. Right now, he is not at that level. That is not a character judgment. It is an honest assessment of the numbers and the performances. One adjustment Arteta has experimented with is moving Saka into a more central position and deploying Noni Madueke out wide on the right. But the results of that shift have not been convincingly better. Madueke himself has scored only 2 Premier League goals this season, and now he is potentially missing the Southampton game after picking up an injury on international duty with England. So the right flank situation for Arsenal is this. The natural first choice in Saka is underperforming. The backup option in Madueke is injured. Eze, another candidate for wide positions, is also out. And the wildcard option, 16-year-old Max Dowman, is being carefully managed by Arteta to avoid overloading him with first-team responsibility at such a young age. This is a genuine selection headache. And the answer Arteta chooses will say a lot about how he intends to navigate the remaining weeks of a season where Arsenal are still competing on 3 fronts. Max Dowman, the sensation being handled with care. Let us talk about Max Dowman directly, because his story within this season deserves its own section. Dowman has already made appearances at senior level for Arsenal. He starred against Mansfield Town in an earlier FA Cup round. His performances have caused genuine excitement among the support base. The language used to describe his impact has been strong. Reporters covering his outings for England's under-19 side have spoken about him causing a huge stir at that level too. The situation with Dowman is one that Arteta is handling delicately. The temptation to throw a 16-year-old who is clearly ready in terms of raw talent into every big game is understandable. But the reality of football development means that too much too soon can damage even the most gifted young players. Arteta is clearly aware of that balance. The FA Cup quarter-final against a championship side could represent the ideal environment for Dowman to get another run out. The pressure is significant because of what is at stake, but the quality of opposition is not at the highest Premier League or European level. That combination of meaningful experience without the maximum possible risk is exactly the kind of game that can accelerate a young player's development without exposing them to unnecessary danger. The evidence suggests Arteta may well hand Dowman another start on Saturday evening, but that decision will depend entirely on the fitness updates that come through in the days before the game. The Trossard solution and the Ljungberg comparison. Now let us get into the most tactically interesting part of this entire situation, because when you remove Saka, Madueke and Eze from the equation, the question of who actually plays on the right flank for Arsenal against Southampton becomes genuinely fascinating. One name that emerges strongly is Leandro Trossard, and the reasoning behind that suggestion is more nuanced than it might initially appear. Trossard this season has contributed 9 assists across all competitions. He has also demonstrated a creative streak that goes beyond simple numbers. In the Premier League last season, he created 13 big chances. His average of 1.1 key passes per game reflects a player who is consistently generating danger for his teammates. And crucially, he has the personality and the composure to operate in big games under high pressure. He has been described as Arsenal's modern-day Freddie Ljungberg. That comparison was made by reporter James Dodd, and when you think about it carefully, it holds real weight. Ljungberg, during his best years at Arsenal, played primarily off the right side. He was direct, he was dynamic. He made darting runs inside the defense that consistently created chaos. His left-footed diagonal runs from the right flank became one of the defining visual memories of the Invincibles era. What made Ljungberg so effective in that role was that he was not a natural winger who hugged the touchline and tried to beat his man one-on-one. He was a runner, a mover, someone who understood the space behind defenses and how to exploit it with well-timed movement. His partnership with Robert Plyaer on the opposite flank gave Arsenal balance, directness, and creativity from both sides simultaneously. Now consider Trossard in a similar role. Playing off the right with his right foot, he would be less inclined than Saka or Madueke to cut inside onto his stronger foot. That means he would be more likely to deliver crosses and cutbacks into the box from a wider position. And when you have a centre forward with the physical profile of Viktor Gyokeres waiting in the area, that kind of delivery becomes enormously dangerous. The situation is that Trossard in a right-sided role is not as wild an idea as it might first sound. He has made 11 career appearances in that position. He knows the demands of the role. And with his creativity and composure under pressure, deploying him there against Southampton could unlock something genuinely different in Arsenal's attacking play. There is, of course, a concern. Trossard himself withdrew from the Belgian squad with a hip problem, so his fitness for Saturday is not confirmed. Arteta will be hoping he is available because losing him to injury in addition to all the other absentees would further shrink an already tight set of options. The injury situation and the broader context. Let us zoom out slightly and look at the full picture of what Arsenal are dealing with. Because this international break has left the club in a complicated position that goes beyond just one game. William Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes, the two centre-backs who form the spine of Arsenal's defensive structure, were both rested during the break with reported issues. Their availability for Southampton is not guaranteed. Arteta may need to use alternative defensive combinations. At left-back, Riccardo Calafiori played heavily for Italy during the break, as Italy faced a challenging campaign in World Cup qualifying. That workload may lead Arteta to manage Calafiori's minutes carefully. The likely beneficiary of that decision is Miles Lewis-Skelly, who could come in at left-back or potentially in a midfield role alongside the captain. Odegaard and Timber is working towards a return and was targeting the FA Cup clash as a possible comeback point. Martin Odegaard was also aiming to return for this game after his own fitness issues. If both players are available, it would represent a significant boost for Arsenal's quality in the middle third of the pitch. Piero Hincapié suffered an issue while away with Ecuador. Noni Madueke's knock from England duty is significant. The list of players either confirmed out or under some kind of doubt stretches to 12 at one point, which is an extraordinary situation for any club to navigate at this stage of the season. And yet, the evidence suggests Arsenal are not panicking. The rotation for the Southampton game is not a sign of desperation. It is calculated squad management from a manager who understands that the real prizes this season may come in the Champions League and the Premier League title race, where Arsenal's position remains significant. Southampton, even with a remarkable FA Cup run of their own, are a championship side. The gap in quality, even with a rotated Arsenal 11, remains substantial. What the Southampton game actually tells us, let us be precise about what this FA Cup quarter-final actually means in the context of Arsenal's season. Southampton have been excellent in this competition. They knocked out Leicester City, a Premier League side, after extra time. They beat Fulham at Craven Cottage. They are unbeaten in over 10 matches across all competitions. They have genuine momentum and a home crowd behind them. None of that should be dismissed. But the evidence also suggests that Arsenal, even with 10 injury concerns and heavy rotation, possess quality at a level that Southampton cannot currently match. Gabriel Martinelli is expected to come in on the left after his strong international showing with Brazil, where he scored against Croatia with a left-footed strike. Odegaard, if fit, would offer a level of technical creativity in midfield that championship opposition will struggle to cope with. The forward line selection between Gyokeres, Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus is Arteta's to make. Havertz has been building form and momentum after scoring for Germany in the international fixtures. There is an argument for giving him the start at Southampton, allowing Gyokeres to be fresh and fully available for the Champions League midweek assignment. The reality for the club is that managing multiple competitions at this level is the true test of any manager and any squad. Arteta is making deliberate, considered decisions with each team selection. None of this is accidental. The rotation against Southampton is not weakness, it is strategy. What this collection of stories tells us is that Arsenal are in a fascinating and complex moment in their season. They have a striker who is beloved by his teammates and nicknamed for his physical dominance. They have a right-wing situation that requires creative solutions due to injury and underperformance. They have a generation-defining young talent in Max Dowman being handled carefully by a manager who clearly understands the responsibility involved. And they have a squad deep enough to rotate significantly for a major cup quarter-final while still fielding a team capable of winning. The bouncer, as Gyokeres is called by his teammates, is a symbol of what this Arsenal side is becoming. Physical, powerful, direct, difficult to stop when running at full speed. Those are the same qualities the club itself is displaying as it navigates one of the most demanding stretches of any season. The right flank problem is real, the injury list is real, the pressure is real, but the evidence suggests Arsenal have the tools, the intelligence, and the squad depth to manage all of it. The Trossard-as-Ljungberg Solution is creative. The Dowman opportunity is exciting. The Odegaard return is significant. And the bouncer waiting in the centre of the attack is as dangerous as he has ever been. This is Arsenal right now. Complicated, stretched, and still in the fight on every single front that matters. That is the analysis for today. If this kind of deep dive football thinking is what you are looking for, subscribe to this channel right now, hit the notification bell so you never miss a breakdown. And leave a comment below telling me who you think Arteta should start on the right flank on Saturday night, because this conversation is just getting started.